So the third governance flaw we looked at is that we often are holding people accountable for following the rules, but not holding them accountable for getting results. The kind of funny line you sometimes use about that as well, the operation was a complete success, but the patient died. That happens a lot in New Brunswick, because what actually we do is we come up with long lists of rules that frontline service providers have to follow. We never really asked, did any of that do anything? Here's a great example. 30 years ago, the social assistance system was reviewed by a group called Arthur Andersen. Now, Arthur Andersen, you might say, are they experts in social welfare? Not at all. They are actually experts in accounting. And what they did is they looked at all the ways that people who are on social assistance might be saving money or have extra money at their disposal, and that could be clawed back. So they came up with a bunch of rules, most of which are still in place today. If two people on social assistance decide to move into the same house to save money, Arthur Andersen said, well, that's a saving. Claw that back. Call them an economic unit. If you move back in with your parents when you lose your job, you're an economic unit. Claw it back. If you come into a little bit of extra money because Grammy remembered you in your will, claw it back. And in many cases, what it also did is it ended benefits for people if they got at the first time they had a break. So if you were a person on a disability allowance and you found a job that you could manage to get work experience, you would lose your health card, which led to a lot of people turning down jobs. Now, a lot of these changes did work in making sure that each year we didn't go over. But did it work? Well, the point of social assistance, if you read the department's website, is we should be able to move people from depending on social assistance to getting work. Now, you would think with that kind of purpose, if you ask the question in 30 years, have we gotten better at people getting off social assistance and getting jobs? You would think we would know the answer to that. We have no idea. We have absolutely no idea if people are more or less likely to move from social assistance to work, which means you can actually stay on social assistance for 30 years, as long as you don't go over in any 1 year. Now, this might be long-term way more expensive, let alone destructive to people, but we actually have no idea. The interesting thing is, if you actually call social assistance, the first thing you do as a social worker who's trained actually at helping people turn their lives around and get ready for employment and develop parenting skills so we break welfare cycles and that they help children escape poverty. Those social workers are first going through the manual and saying, well, let's make sure you qualify. Then they're turning them into auditors, saying, let's find every extra dollar. And look, we should always try and be fiscally responsible. But if anyone said, did any of this lower the number of people who rely on social assistance? Or did any of this allow children to do better in school, get into post-secondary education, and break the cycle of dependency? After 30 years, we actually have no idea. And we see this repeated over and over. If you look for a little bit of help staying in your home because you're aging and don't want to go into an institution like a nursing home or special care home, which, by the way, are more expensive for government to provide, the first thing the social worker has to do is see if you fit one of the 3 silos of the program. And if you happen to fit one of these programs based on any number of questions and intake questions, then they go ahead. No one's empowered to say, you know what, we have a backlog of seniors in hospitals and it's really expensive to have people in nursing homes and hospitals. Here's a global budget. Why don't you make sure you keep as many people in their homes as possible? We don't do that. What if we measured, for instance, social workers, look, here's the global budget, you make decisions. If they need bus passes to get to a job interview, or if they need to do clothes, or if they need help, we'll measure you on how well their kids are doing in school and how many people you're actually moving from social assistance to work. What if we actually looked at results, for instance, school by school, and said, look, here are the places where we're seeing the biggest jump in kids learning to read. Let's figure out what they're doing. But instead, we hold people accountable for following rules. In fact, our training program, one of the most common ones we use in New Brunswick is Lean Six Sigma, which is a program designed in the manufacturing sector to make sure that there are no differences in process and to reduce the number of variables. But of course, things like helping seniors stay at home or helping families stay together or protecting children in their homes or getting people from social assistance to work, that's not a manufacturing process with a conveyor belt. That's one where you actually need discretion on the front lines. The places that have done the best in getting social results actually make sure that people on the front lines, the trained professionals like social workers and teachers and psychologists and nurses, are empowered to get the right result, not just follow the rules. So the third governance flaw is not only do we not budget for results, once we have the budget, people are only responsible for following the rules, not actually making people's lives better.